it must be live Super League. Hull and Widnes, as Hull aim to put their first home defeat of the season behind them and consolidate a playoff place. This is the last match of round 12. What a weekend we've had. Wins so far for Leeds, Castleford and Warrington on Friday. Saturday night, the Saints beat the Bulls. Sunday, a great win for Wakefield at Huddersfield. So the table, and Leeds are clear at the top. St Helens are tucked in just behind. The Bulls are third. Hull can get right in behind those two with the win here. Huddersfield and Wigan make up a competitive-looking top six. Widnes aim for the win that would put them right back in the hunt for those playoffs. Glorious day outside and inside. Preparations in the Hull dressing room just about completed. They suffered their first home defeat in that classic against Leeds last week, and home advantage usually counts in these matches. In 5 previous encounters, the winners have been the side playing at home. Widnes are the visitors. Their support is minuscule compared to the Hull fans, who are rolling up to this magnificent stadium in numbers again. Exactly 22 years ago, May 1982, Hull and Widnes met in 3 major finals in the space of 19 days. They drew the Challenge Cup final 14-all. Hull went on to win the replay, and Widnes won a Premiership final at Old Trafford. And it's Old Trafford that Hull will have on their mind, and what a boost for them there. But Jason Smith, their inspirational captain, makes his first appearance of the season. And also Michael Egar, just running through the screen there, he also returns, having been injured in the opening weekend against St Helens, a broken arm for Egar. The Hull fans will be delighted to see those two back. Jason Smith, he was injured pre-season. This is his first appearance of the year. And the match referee is Carl Kirkpatrick on this glorious, glorious bank holiday Monday midday. Going to be very warm out there, and Steve-O, I wonder whether the temperatures will just take a little bit of something out of Michael Egar and Jason Smith.
Little doubt, and Sean McRae would have to agree with me that it is a gamble. We know the quality of the two players, but as you've just mentioned, it's very, very warm out there. It's a big ask. They've been several weeks away from confrontation. Widnes, of course, they'll be buoyed by the fact that they beat them. They beat Hull at home quite convincingly.
Can they repeat the trick here at the KC Stadium? Briscoe is underneath the kickoff from Jules O'Neill of Widnes. And Richard Swain was the dummy half as Ewan Dowes drives the ball forward once again. Here goes King. The big prop forwards will see a lot of work early as they try to soften up the Widnes side.
Well, that was the key factor that they come away with that win. Neil Kelly, the Widnes coach, said get well and truly into their faces, and he'll be looking towards his standoff Jules O'Neill to have a repeat performance. His kicking game there was superb, and that's what it's got to be. It's got to be good today too.
Dion Bird on the bounce, collecting Jason Smith's kick downfield, tackled there by Richie Barnett, and the ball comes infield to Aaron Moole. He gets it to the 30-metre mark, and then Julian O'Neill, the big prop forward, he drives it up. And interestingly enough, today we have 2 O'Neills for Widnes, we have 2 Barnetts for Hull. Widnes are in possession, looking to move the ball wide, which they do. Adam Hughes bringing the winger back on the inside. It was a slack pass. Nicky Royal just couldn't take the pass in.
Well, not only was it a bad pass, but you could see there that Royal just had a little bit of a look while the ball was coming back on the inside. Got himself in a good position. But a golden opportunity just thrown away there to get good field position.
Heads in, Andy. Heads in.
We saw quite clearly the effect that Jules O'Neill can have. It was a beautiful little offload.
This is the way the two sides line up. It's Briscoe, Best, Barnett, Egar, Barnett Jr., Cook and Horn. Forwards, Dowes, Swain, King, Chester, McMenemy and Smith the skipper. And on the bench, Yeaman, Lupton, Higgins and Nick Scruton on loan from the Leeds Rhinos. Coach is Sean McRae. Now the men from Widnes: Bird, Royal, Moole, Hughes and Giles, O'Neill and young Stephen Myler at half-back. And the forwards: Ralph Finnegan, Julian O'Neill, Hay the skipper, Wozniak, Daniel Frame. And the subs: McCurry, Hobson, Mills and Craig Weston back in the Widnes camp. He arrived from Australia on Saturday morning, and Neil Kelly, the coach, putting him straight into the starting 17. This, meanwhile, is Jason Smith for Hull. They are 25 metres away from the line. That's Richard Swain. Gives the ball then to Cook. Good defence. Terrific defence there from Jules O'Neill. Swain again. And Jason Smith with a kick to the corner. This could be very interesting. Knocked forward. Gobbled up by the Widnes defence. The referee says yes, that was a knock-on.
No
It'll
advantage.
be the turnover.
Yep, on the last there, but perfect kick, wasn't it, from Jason Smith? Opportunity. Colin Best certainly got there.
Well, only previous appearance on Sky Sports this year for Widnes. A 38-6 home beating against Huddersfield in round 2 on the 5th of March. But Neil Kelly, their coach, telling us that he is quietly confident about today's trip to Hull.
Well, they've every right to be, Eddie. I mean,
they played well last week in defeat against Bradford from all accounts.
It certainly did, and it's taken them a while. Remember, first 3 or 4 games of the season, they were woeful, and they didn't look all that fit as far as I was concerned. That's been turned around. That's good, hard work. Obviously, Neil Kelly has pushed them.
Good kick that from O'Neill, but it bounced in the end harmlessly for Briscoe, and some space opens up for Briscoe, who's in blistering form this year. 12 tries in his 13 appearances so far, and he gets the penalty.
Well, Daniel Frame all over the fullback. Rather surprising that Widnes opted to kick the ball right down towards the fullback. We all know the quality of Briscoe. They'd be better served to be farming that ball out to both corners rather than right down the throat of this fella.
Ewan Dow's to his feet. Jason Smith is the dummy half. He comes this way, finds King, and then a cutout ball, and this is Barnett Jr. He does well, but he is bundled into touch. The line was beckoning.
Good quick hands, but good sliding defence. Excellent stuff there. There was always going to get to him before he got to the corner flag. Got plenty of pace, this fella.
Richie Barnett Jr. in for Gareth Rayner, who's left out of the side today.
Heads in! Heads in!
Let's get down to Dave Hadfield, who is the man, of course, with all the answers later on about man of the match. Dave, who are members of the Rugby League media looking out for this lunchtime?
If you were playing the percentages, it should be someone called Richie Barnett or Julian O'Neill, but all eyes here will really be on Jason Smith this afternoon. Such a skillful player and such a frustration for Hull that they've been so rarely able to get him on the field over the last 2 seasons. For Widnes, Aaron Moole and Adam Hughes in the centre should really be one of the strengths of the side if they can play to their undoubted potential today.
Thanks, Dave. Hear from you a little bit later on. This pitch is in magnificent order at the KC Stadium. The players will enjoy playing on it. It's a wonderful arena to play rugby league.
Pretty flat attack there from Widnes, though, but the whole defence very keen to get involved. The big question I have to ask is, can Jules O'Neill and Stephen Myler match the wonderful combination from Hull of the 2 halfbacks, Paul Cook and Richard Horne? They've been playing out of their skins of late.
O'Neill with the kick down the middle of the park, and Richie Barnett Jr. picks it and then just slips at the last moment. Robert Relf leading the way with Daniel Frame to tackle Briscoe, the dummy half. Good drive forward, and Julian O'Neill had to be up to that as Egar marked his comeback to the Super League. This now Colin Best.
Well, 6.5 minutes gone in this game, and both defences very well and truly on top. Yet to see a clear break as such. A little bit of a foray down this left-hand side by Richie Barnett Jr. But other than that, it's been very solid defence.
Ewan Dowes was looking to offload that, and he was enveloped by the 2 defenders. Richard Swain, Jason Smith pings it wide to Richard Horne. Oh, that's forward.
Forward.
That is forward about 2 metres.
How on earth did the touch judge and the official not see that? It was always going forward. Never any possibility of the momentum rule because of the fact that Cook was stopped straight away after he released the football. Either way, justice has been done. Widnes come up with possession.
7.5 minutes of the match gone, and it's a pleasure to welcome Graham Steadman to our commentary position today. Graham, your early thoughts on this match? Stevo says defence is on top. They have been so far.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with the defensive line speed of Hull. The early signs are that they are certainly dominating field position, and I don't think Neil Kelly will be too happy with that, trying to be offloading there on third tackle. They've been under a bit of pressure in the last 5 minutes, and I think the threat is certainly around the ruck from Hull. They're looking to pose 1 or 2 little dummy half scoots from Swain, with King playing a little bit of a linking role at first receiver, with Horney being a massive threat on the fringe. So I think the signs are ominous early on.
It's Horn who is in possession, played the ball there. This now is King. Oh, it's a great ball, and this is Chris Chester, and he's looking for Barnett wide, and maybe he should have taken them on himself. Mind you, Barnett, the momentum might have taken him home here.
He has. No double movement, no doubt in the mind of the official, Carl Kirkpatrick. But what a beautiful pass from King. Chester went through an enormous gap. Got the impression one of the Widnes defenders went for the intercept. Yeah, they certainly did. Adam Hughes was caught cold. That is a good try. Well, this is the mistake early on. How on earth did Wozniak pass that ball back on the inside, as Graham Steadman mentioned early in the tackle count? Chester kept calm, didn't he? So did this fella. No double movement, momentum, did it all.
He's in fine form, young Barnett Jr., 23 years of age. He's missed the last 2, but that's his 7th try of Super League 9. He is certainly one of the finds of 2004. Richie Barnett Jr. He started in the match against the Bulls at Odsal, and Hull got their first ever win there in the Super League. So good signs for Hull, but ominously for Widnes. The tackler, Nicky Royal, hurt in trying to stop Richie Barnett Jr., but I think he's all right to carry on. Just didn't have the strength to hold him back. So Paul Cook here with the opportunity. A try and 2 goals against Leeds last week. Good with the boot, this fellow. Just underneath the crossbar, though, just didn't quite have the legs. 4-0, though, Hull in the lead. Well, Hull have won 4 of 5 at home this year, facing the side here that beat them in their last 2 meetings, albeit at the Halton Stadium in April and last July in the Widnes Vikings. And Richie Barnett Jr. and the Hull players celebrating the first try of the match. Very warm, though, I get the impression. Phil Clark is down there in the sunshine for a change. Normally in the rain, Phil, but you've got the sunglasses today.
Yes, and I'm not complaining either. It's interesting as we reach the approach the halfway stage in the Tetris Super League to look at the 2 records of these sides. You've got the worst attacking team so far in Widnes playing against the best defensive side in Hull, and that's one of the things I thought about coming to the game. Who in this Widnes side has the ability to get over the try line? And I mean, the top try scorer is Jules O'Neill. I think at times maybe the Widnes side relied too heavily on him and need to look to 1 or 2 other players to create something. I'll be fascinated to see how the 2 centres go today. They're both very talented players in Adam Hughes and Aaron Moole. They need some quality ball, and then they need to cause some problems for their opponents.
It's just emphasising what Phil's saying there. Hull have actually scored 118 points more than Widnes. They have conceded 172 points less. And it's a knock-on, says the referee. 1-on-1 with Robert Relf.
He's got it right as well, Carl Kirkpatrick. See the prop forward deliberately just launching out that ball.
Richie Barnett, the New Zealand international, the more experienced of the 2, who captained the team very well in Jason Smith's absence, eventually is grounded on the halfway line. There is Jason Smith at dummy half. This now Chris Chester. Ball's come out.
Lost it.
A simple mistake, a simple loss of the ball.
Well, Chester is claiming to the referee, but he just lost control of it. Hit the deck, spilled away.
Sean McRae, his 220th weekly round game here, 267th of his coaching career all up at Hull, Gateshead and St Helens. Good defence from his Hull team here.
Well, I think the referee's got that wrong. He shouted hell, but they were still moving. Well, that's baffled me then.
That was Myler. This is Jules O'Neill. And this is Dion Bird, and it goes wide. Oh, there was nowhere then for Chris Giles to go to other than over the whitewash. There was a little bit of space ahead of him, but he looked down, he saw that the touchline was there. Look, oops, can't do anything about that.
None whatsoever. They utilised the two dummy runners, sent the ball right across. But it's been effective, this whole sliding defence so far.
It has all through the season. Remember when we saw them at Huddersfield? 20-0 they won that night.
He's got them working very, very hard. They were a little bit dicky over the first couple of weeks. Well, this is a rare occasion. We've got a penalty given at the scrum base because someone decided to have a little bit of a headbutt.
Well, his head wasn't in the scrum. The Widnes forward was picked out by Carl Kirkpatrick for not packing down properly. And this year, if that happens, that is supposed to be a penalty. That was a risky pass, but it bounced handily for Chester. Richard Swain waits at dummy half for Hull, leading here 4-0. Jason Smith, Richard Horne just showed it. Wouldn't be fooled then though, young Stephen Myler. Jason Smith pops the ball back to Paul King, attacking this Widnes defence again. 4 tackles gone.
Talking of the Widnes defence, the biggest problem is that one or two of them are coming out for the intercept. They're not going up in one line.
Good run from Richard Swain on the last tackle. Hull 10 metres away from the line with Jason Smith. Here's the kick, looking for Richie Barnett Senior. He got him, but Barnett Junior rather couldn't take the ball in.
Again, we see the qualities of the loose forward Jason Smith. Notice how the ball was spinning backwards. Well, there's going to be a little bit of a problem there. Pretty hard to see who got to it first, but the benefit of the doubt went towards Widnes, who've been under the rack quite a few occasions. And Neil Kelly really has to send out the message. If you're going to go in and get in front of them, get into their faces, you've got to go as a unit.
Ball from O'Neill to Adam Hughes. Adam Hughes tackled by Michael Eager.
Oh.
That was a big hit. Chester was straight in the face there.
Well, fair credit
Daniel
to
Frame.
Frame certainly was a strong frame on that occasion. That was one big hit there from Chester.
Quarter an hour of the match gone, and as I say, Graham Steadman is with us, and I must say, Graham, you're looking very relaxed. I know you're out of the game at the moment, which you won't like, but your health is obviously better than it was a month or so ago.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the break. It's been the first time I've had a long break for the last 3 seasons. I've been backed up with international football on the back of domestic scene, so I spent some quality time with the family and spent a few hours in the garden, and that's looking very good at the moment.
But you've got a real thirst and a hunger for this game, I know.
Yeah, without a doubt. I've got a real passion for rugby league, and I'm in advanced negotiations with the GB party over at Red Hall, and there will be an announcement made in the next couple of weeks with a view to my position with the GB commitment for the end of season Tri-Nation series.
Good news, good news. What do you think of the opening 16 minutes or so here?
I think what is going to be interesting is the interchanges. You look at the bench of Widnes with Mills, Hobson and McCurry. They've got a lot of power and size there, and Weston obviously has arrived just late this week. He'll add another dimension in around the ruck area, so no doubt Neil Kelly's looking to take Cullen up the middle.
Yes, well, they're going to have to be muscling up down the middle here, which they are, to stop Jason Smith. But there are still plenty of tackles here for Hull, and it's with Cook. Oh, and he coughs the possession up, and Jules O'Neill gratefully gets the possession back for Widnes.
Well, that comes about by the pressure from the defence. He should get it into their faces there, and that's the reason why Paul Cook spilled that ball right in front of him. Offside, 2 or 3 to select from as well.
It's interesting, Steve-O, at this early stage in the game, just to look at the role that Jason Smith's playing. Tends to be getting his hands on the ball and obviously doing a lot of the kicking for the Hull side. And I think that's having an impact on the way that Richard Horne and Paul Cook are playing. Because for the majority of the season so far, they've taken the key responsibility. And I think it'll probably take a while, maybe even longer than a game or two, for them to develop a way of playing to their full strengths, supporting around Jason Smith.
The thing is, Steve-O, whereas players come back and look for fitness, there is nowhere really to play Jason Smith and Michael Eagard these days other than in the first team, and let them play their way back to fitness here at this level.
Well, yeah, you're right there, Eddie, but it's a big gamble for a coach, and maybe should have given him an extra week. We'll have to wait and see. That, as far as I'm concerned, you know, you can't beat match fitness, so they'll need it, and they'll lack that late in the game.
That's a great ball, and here is Dion Bird. He won't give it yet, Carl Kirkpatrick.
Obstruction.
He'll
there.
take a look.
Yeah. Well, the full-back went sailing through, but Julian O'Neill uses the dummy runner on the back inside, and it's Andy Hay. There's no doubt about this being N-O-T-R-Y. The big second row, Andy Hay, just takes a man out. No way in the world is this going to be given. Well, it shouldn't be given, I'll put it that way.
He's having a number of looks at it, the video referee today.
Well, it's quite clear that Jason Smith is taken out. There's no chance of him. He could have gone across as a cover defender.
Well, Ian Ollerton is the video referee. He's looking to check the grounding now. Does this mean it's going to be a try?
Well, I can't believe this is. If this is TRY, I just cannot believe it.
Decision pending. There it is, no try. Penalty kick through the defence. Well, you called it as soon as the man ran through, Steve-O, to be fair.
Well, he could see quite clearly. Andy Hay used all the force, and Jason Smith, okay, may not be the quickest person out there on the field of play, but he would have been in a position, I'm sure, to have attempted to tackle Dion Bird. Justice has been done.
Neil Kelly makes a little note in the book for the half-time talk as Richard Horne gives it to Paul King. Only got half an O on his back, Paul King. But Richard Horne certainly has got number 6 on his back, and I wonder whether he will have a Great Britain jersey on his back come the end of the season. He's in magnificent form at the moment. So is this fellow Briscoe. Fires it wide. Chester on the drive. Adam Hughes rather is there.
Well, you're right there, Eddie. Richard Horne really has that look forward. They've got away with it, but he's in superb form. And it'll be interesting to see also, as Phil Clark has already mentioned, that with Jason Smith out there, maybe Jason will be looking to take first receiver.
There he is, doing exactly that.
And you can use Horne a little bit more effectively, either out wide off the ruck or let Richard Horne run into the dummy half. If they can mix and match it amongst the hooker Richard Swain, it'll cause a lot of trouble to this Widnes defence.
Coming up to the midway point of this first half, and it's Andy Hay, the Widnes captain. It's been all Hull in the Widnes half of the field so far. This is David Mills, Welsh international, son of Big Jim. And Jules O'Neill, involved in everything really, as you would expect. Daniel Frame takes the tackle. Adam Hughes, the runner, is Steve McCurry. No, it isn't. It is Andy Hobson, I beg your pardon. This is Hay. It goes wide to Mule. He does well, makes a few more meters. And there's a kick through, and Barnett Jr. on the bounce collects it. Good chasing by Widnes. Centre field, Briscoe from dummy half.
Very few opportunities they've had, Widnes, and that's perhaps the big problem that Neil Kelly, their coach, realises, is that Jules O'Neill isn't. They got them over offside, but Jules O'Neill, you know, is a man that does make the side tick. But in effect, if Hull can close him down, Widnes are left with not many other options.
Concentrate, keep working.
On the halfway line, they will restart, and here is McMenemy. Great offload, Richard Swain. Now Richard Horne. Oh, he was nearly through.
No second phase. Surprised me there that Richard Swain wasn't really racing onto the football.
It was an important tackle on Horne by Finnegan. Finnegan just been turned there by Cook.
Good step, good handoff as well. Will Swain go on his own?
This is Swain, finds Jason Smith. Takes the tackle there of David Mills. Swain again, over the head of King. Almost dropped by Cook. Wide to Barnett, back to Best. Best is quick and elusive. Gets the ball away. Good hands here from Hull, probing for the opening. King, another offload, and again, great stuff. Ewan Dowes, Richard Swain, over the top, Briscoe. Try for Chester. Wonderful Hull try. They simply would not let that ball die. It was flipped from hand to hand, fingertip to fingertip, and in the end they just had too many numbers down the left-hand side, and Chris Chester, in his third season with Hull, comes up for his first try of 2004.
Unbelievable, this kept the ball alive. It wasn't the best two passes, were it? But look at the combination of the centre back on the inside. But it's the pass that comes later that really makes it effective. Watch the one that's just palmed away here. This one. Oh, wonderful stuff there by Paul Cook. It did go backwards, nothing wrong with it there. Oh, nice little step. Super stuff. Phil, the quality when you keep the ball alive, especially in dry conditions, you can't stop them, can you?
Well, there's no way you can criticise the Widnes exterior defence. There are 11 passes that go to make this try up here, and if you think they've stretched the ball to the right-hand side to Colin Best, they couldn't score on that side, but they had the skill and ability to bring it back to the left and score on this. Superb effort.
Chris Chester has waited a long time for that first try of the season, and Paul Cook here will try now and add the extras for Hull. The penalty count against Widnes at the moment is 5-1. That is what is absolutely crippling them at the moment. And Cook has added the extras. It's 10-0.
This is a little flick here from the standoff, and it just absolutely blitzed them, doesn't it? You can see there Jules O'Neill thought he was going to get in for the tackle. They forced the ball, it went backwards, but look at the step here. Back on the inside. Wow, great stuff.
But Widnes, Steve-O, have to tighten up their discipline. 5-1 the penalty count. You just cannot trade that sort of possession with a team like Hull.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. It's just that the basics are just falling down. They're not getting things right. We mentioned early in the game that when their defence moved up, there was quite a few either going out of the line or hanging back. And you can see that yet again. There's Jules O'Neill. He went out of the line very, very quickly. If you go quick, it leaves a wider gap.
Up the middle again for Hull with their skipper Jason Smith. Richard Swain, bit of a mess at the play of the ball, but no knock on. Mr. Kirkpatrick taking a look at his touch judge. Tackle count continues on. 4 tackles now as Chester at dummy half finds King. And Briscoe, oh, great ball to Richard Horn, and he's got support either side of him. He gives it to Briscoe. Briscoe over the top, brilliant. Jason Smith on his return to the Super League, but what a pass from Briscoe. Jason Smith with all the experience in the world, but he will be the first to shake the hand of his young fullback. And Smith marks his return to Super League 9 with a try. The Hull supporters on their feet, and Briscoe's pass, fabulous.
Certainly was, but this was a good one too, wasn't it? He started it. Wonderful offload there to Richard Horn, who kept his cool. And what about the old campaigner, Jason Smith? Whilst all this was going inside and outside, racing through, Jason Smith, he just tunneled his way down the middle. It's all about reading the game. And there's none better than this former Australian international, Jason Smith. Superb effort, what a try.
But he got a try in last year's 38-18 win against Widnes here. Jason Smith, a man with 2 grand finals with the Bulldogs under his belt in Australia, and a winner in '95. 16 caps for Australia, 16 appearances for Queensland in the white heat of State of Origin. And Paul Cook here now, 10 metres away. That is simple for a kicker of this young man's quality. And from 4-0 and hanging on, Hull have pressed the gas and they lead 16-0.
All the action's on the left-hand side of your screen, but look on the right. There's the man that's going to finish up scoring the try. Support supreme. You can't buy that. That is sheer quality.
Terrific try from Jason Smith. Phil Clark, you saw something else in that move as well you want to comment on.
Well, it might not look that spectacular on television, and you do have to give the credit to the support play and the skills of the later passes, but I just thought Paul King's ability, you don't see many front rows in the game now. It's going to creep in more and more, just running and passing before the line. I know they need a quick pass from Briscoe, but to have a front row in your side, really, who most teams expect just to cart the ball forward. But when they create doubt in the mind of the defenders, that's when you tend to find space for your teammates.
Phil, I always feel that Hull play well when Paul King is in top form.
And he seems to be in that at the moment, doesn't he? He's benefiting from some quality players around him, but I think he's a sort of confidence player who needs to get a good start to the game, and if things go well for him, then he plays on the back of that.
You might have seen there that Jason Smith, having scored the try, takes a well-earned breather on the sideline as Dion Bird runs this kick downfield from Richard Horne back to the 20-metre mark.
Doesn't surprise me. Sean McRae's damn fine coach. He knows that Jason Smith would have been puffing a little bit, trying to get
I wonder if it is
back.
Simply a case of fatigue. Bill has had a word with him, I think.
It's just that, Eddie. First game of the season for Jason Smith, about 6 months out in actual fact, so not surprisingly he's pretty whacked, and it is very close out here. There's hardly a breath of air on this pitch at the moment, and in this enclosed stadium as Widnes come up with another howler, and not surprisingly the players are feeling the heat, and none more so than Jason Smith in his first game back.
32 years of age, Jason Smith, and the mistake coming in from 31-year-old Jules O'Neill.
Yeah, not the best pass over from Stephen Myler. I think this fella O'Neill thought that the ball might be just going away to another colleague out wide. But it's the forwards that are not laying the platform for Widnes. Doesn't matter how good you are in the half-back position, if your forwards are being driven back, you can't lay the foundation. You cannot have room to move.
Egard tangling there with O'Neill.
Look at that, 9 missed tackles by Widnes. And most of those, coming in because they're coming out of the line quickly. And if they do get to them, they're off balance. And you can't put anybody down.
Well, they're offloading at every opportunity here. And Liam Higgins just retaining possession for Hull.
They're good tactics, Eddie, because it's really warm out there. So if you can run your opposition around in defence, which they've done that, field position has been good from Hull. Widnes are struggling. They will obviously tire, especially late in the game.
Higgins again, another good drive, and that was stolen by number 18 Simon Finnegan, and then the Widnes player who picked it up was therefore in an offside position.
It was all right, it was 1-on-1. That's why some of the Widnes fans are a little bit confused. And it flips off. And the official, spot on. As soon as Mills touched that football, there's always going to be a penalty. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But even so, it probably would have been deemed a knock-on and scrum down.
And he wants 2 points. Sean McRae.
And that's good tactics too. Very warm out there, as I mentioned, and we keep saying they want to run Widnes off their feet, but it's also a bit of an advantage for your own side just to get the breath back.
Good kick again from Paul Cook. 18 points to 0. And if you look at that league table at the start of the show today, you will have seen that Widnes, if they lose here, and 18-0 is an indication that they're going to struggle, but if they lose here, they could be in the mix for relegation, which is the last thing that anybody wants this year. Castleford getting their first win of the campaign over the weekend. And there's Salford, there's London, and there's Widnes, who will be in the mix for relegation. And don't forget Perpignan coming in 2006. Just how that will be sorted out is still to be decided. So it's not a time to be dropping out of the elite competition 2004, no doubt about that.
I have to agree with you, Eddie, but you talk about confidence, you're confident in the player. You see from the kick-off there that the fullback, Sean Briscoe, he told two of his players to get out of the way, it's mine.
Oh, and it's a weaving run from Paul Cook. It's a tiring Widnes defence by the looks. Richard Swain infield to Richard Horn. It goes wide to Lupton and further wide to McMenemy, and Widnes falling off the tackles dramatically, and McMenemy will skate in for another. This is not good from Widnes, and Hull are making full use of it. They're capitalising on it. They've had most of the possession in this first half. Widnes have hardly had the ball. When they've had it, they've dropped it, and when they've got in for the tackle, they've missed them. And Shane McMenemy comes up with the latest Hull try, only his second of the season, and his first was against Widnes on Easter Monday.
Well, that takes him into double figures, Widnes, for the amount of missed tackles, and this was one of them. You can't go high. He's a strong fella, McMenemy, and as you can see, he just brushed the opposition aside. Easy try, took the opportunity, but this day and age, these players are super fit, and the upper body strength that they have, if you don't hit them right, and Steve McCurry failed to do that, that's an easy 4 points. And this should be converted into 6 very shortly indeed by this man.
Paul Cook, right in front of the uprights, 10 metres out. It's 26 points, 24 points, I beg your pardon, 24 points to 0 for Hull.
Well, it's a big mountain to climb now. 10 minutes ago it was a bit of a hill, but I'm afraid it's looking like Everest for this Widnes outfit.
Graham Steadman is here, as we say. Graham, Neil Kelly will be alarmed at the number of missed tackles for Widnes.
Yeah, I'd certainly be concerned if I was Neil. They are looking at a massive threat around the ruck area with Swain and Orme darting out of there, and that's the momentum which is being made for the likes of Cook, Horn and Lupton, as we've just seen there, putting McMenemy through to cause a bit of a threat on the fringes. His fringe defence is one-on-one tackle is not looking too good, so he's got a lot of work at half-time to say to his players, and he'll be looking for a much improved second half.
Another high challenge. That was by David Mills.
On the shoulder, give the benefit of the doubt.
Here's McMenemy again, the try scorer.
Graham, I posed the question that would you be changing this sliding defence that Widnes have? Maybe go back to a man-on-man marking?
I think what you've got at present is the first marker for Widnes, the actual man who's upstairs dominating the tackle. His body position getting off the actual tackle being made is too slow. Therefore, he's getting tied up in at the marker area, and that enables a bit of space in behind both defenders either side of the ruck. And that's where Swain and Horn are causing all the problems. And off the back of that momentum which they are gaining in the field position, you've got the likes of Cook, Lupton and Orme causing a massive threat at first and second pivot. And like I say, he's got a lot of problems in which to sort out in his defensive formation at present.
Well, what Widnes desperately need is a try. They've got 5.5 minutes to half-time, but Phil, you made the point early in the piece. You were looking at the records on the way over here. Who can break this whole defence open?
I don't think they've got anybody at the moment, have they? Worryingly, they won't have anybody from within their own half, and they haven't been able to get any field position to give themselves a possession in a time attacking the Hull side on their own line. So at the moment, it's just been all the hard work of defence. I think they've just given a rest to Chris Chester, who I think is one of our best half an hours for Hull that I've seen this season. Perhaps again benefiting from the fact that Jason Smith's back in, so the return of the captain has perhaps helped a lot of the young players around him.
Richard Swain driving it forward on the third tackle. Alarmingly for Widnes, they're getting over the advantage line easily. Here is Cook, and there's the pass to Barnett. There's another. It's a second try for Richie Barnett Jr. And I'm sorry to say this is turning into a disaster for Widnes. But Richard Barnett Jr., his second try of the match, and a beautiful pass that cut out two defenders to produce it for him.
Well, I posed a question to Graham Steadman about going to a man-on-man marking, and you can see there they were caught well and truly on the outside. If you're going to utilise the sliding defence, then you've got to make sure that it slides, and it failed to do that. Wingman was nowhere to be seen. Now then, was this the position? Was it stolen away? I think it was. Yep. Certainly Paul Cook. But it gets back to that awful rule, you know, that the official has to decide whether he was making the tackle or not. Either way, there's no excuse for poor defence like that. The winger has to make sure that he sticks with his opposite and hope that that sliding defence will put in. Hard times for this fella Neil Kelly.
Well, he was very, very buoyant and confident enough, Neil Kelly, when he came here this morning. He believed that they had the personnel to really give Hull a run for their money, but at 28 points to nil at the moment with this kick to come.
You've got to defend, Eric, and they're failing to do that.
And the penalty count early, that 5-1 I mentioned early on, that has taken its toll against Widnes, definitely. It's 6-1 now, I think. Great kick. Terrific kick. Paul Cook, 30 points to nil. And Bill.
Eddie, while that was conversion was being lined up by Paul Cook, Neil Kelly, the Widnes coach, was having a long conversation, first with the fourth official, and then his message was conveyed to referee Carl Kirkpatrick. It goes back to that incident where Widnes feel the ball was stolen in the tackle, and that led to that latest Hull try. Meanwhile, on the Hull bench, Chris Chester has come off, and you might remember a couple of weeks ago Chester got a frightful bang in the face, and Hull thought that at the time he might have broken his jaw. Thankfully that wasn't the case, but it is still very sore, and it's a bit sorer after this afternoon's outing.
This is young Nick Scruton, the 19-year-old. And Widnes penalised again, this time hand between the legs. It's 7-1, the penalty count.
Yeah, Daniel Frame, you're not allowed to do that, not even attempt to do it. All he had to do was pull the hand away. Still moving. The official hadn't called held at that point. Well, if ever there was a half-time hooter that one side wanted, it's Widnes, because you talk about pain, and this fellow will give it to them at half-time, and rightly so. It has not been a good performance.
Scruton again for Hull, the latest forward, the latest front rower to join Hull on loan from the Leeds Rhinos. And here's Richie Barnett, finds Richard Swain, gets offloaded to Liam Higgins.
Eddie, I just disagree with Steve. I don't know if it's the half-time hooter they want or the full-time. You just can't see a way that they're going to get back into this game.
Now, the way that Hull are playing and being able to offload the ball with ease in the tackle.
Well, that's a lack of confidence in the opposition defence. You know, they're really not making it pay. They've got to. It's got to be a cruel game. You've got to really get into it. The forwards, you've got to put doubt in the minds of the opposition, and if you just allow them to run through, we saw there when McMenemy made just brushed off the would-be defenders with ease.
Widnes did get across the line, remember, but the try was chalked off by the video referee quite rightly, and it was Dion Bird's try that was wiped away. No missed tackles by Hull, 13 by Widnes. McCurry gets to his feet, plays the ball, Mills onto O'Neill, and the kick on the last. Briscoe, the referee has shouted twice, play on, and there's still no Widnes player there. There is now.
Well, the legs have gone, but more importantly,
the heads are down.
Yeah, sadly, it's psychologically, this is one heck of a thing to get over.
Here's Colin Best inside the last minute. In fact, we're now on the 40-minute mark, and there's the half-time siren that Neil Kelly and Widnes will have been praying for, and Sean McRae will be well pleased with his first 40 minutes. I don't think we can say the same about the opposite number from the Halton Stadium. And Widnes, their players, Jules O'Neill there with a little shake of the head, they plod from the field. 30 points to nil. They had Hull at 4-0 with 23 minutes gone, and then Chester, Smith, McMenemy and Barnett Jr. with his second try. They skated in for touchdowns, and it's 30 points to nil at half-time.
after a memorable first Test victory over the Black Caps. Will England clinch the second Test and the series at Headingley? Catch England v New Zealand Thursday 10:30 a.m. Sky Sports 1.
It's amazing what can happen when you bring objects of such quality together. The beautifully built Ford Focus C-Max. Experience this quality by taking a test drive.
Need a release. Try new cherry menthol flavour Airwaves and breathe easy.
Cleaner Clothes, episode 7, and Sonia's waiting up for George.
Hello, George.
Sonia!
Out with one of your floozies.
Babes, can you smell perfume on me? Do you think I've had time to wash and dry my shirt before I came home?
So what's this I found in your cupboard? Daz. And we both know Daz gets things really, really clean. Even on a quick wash. You always were a quick finisher, George.
Did a quick wash mean that George had time for a tumble? Sonny, baby! Find out with Daz, the soap you can believe in.
The Fine Art and Antiques Fair at Olympia in London. June 3rd until June 13th. Wonder what will catch your eye there this summer.
With the Great Nectar giveaway, you can win prizes that money simply can't buy.
How about a diamond necklace made especially for me by a top designer?
Did you know your cat's heart beats up to twice as fast as yours? And that time can take its toll on her heart too? But don't change how you treat her. Feed her Iams. It renews 7 of the essential nutrients needed daily to help support a strong, healthy heart throughout life. Iams, good for the heart and good for life. Now get Iams in trial packs with 1 day's nutrition at a small price.
By offsetting, you'll save on your mortgage and could pay it off early. Visit if.com for details. Intelligent finance.
From the Reebok Stadium.
Oh, yes, the FA Cup of Darts!
The nation's minnows come face to face with the masters of darts. The UK Open in association with Stan James starts Friday at 7, Sky Sports 2.
We have 2 games, as usual, from the Australian Rugby League this coming weekend. St George Illawarra against North Queensland is the live match Saturday at 10:30, Sky Sports 2, and on Sunday at 10, also on Sky Sports 2, Brisbane take on Cronulla. Half-time here in the sunshine this bank holiday Monday afternoon, and it is a holiday for Hull. They lead by 30 points to 0. 2 for Barnett Jr. Smith, Chester, McMenemy and Cooks kick the goals. A very easy half-time team talk, I would think, for Sean McRae. Just keep it going is the message. Maybe he'll tinker with 1 or 2 things, but the missed tackles won, that's terrific. And they have got the best defence in Super League, and they're proving why here today. Well, what on earth does Neil Kelly say to his charges? Their body language as they left the field, it looked a little quiet, to say the least. Look at the missed tackles. And the other stat that you haven't seen there is the fact that they've conceded 7 or 8 penalties and have received only 1 against Hull in that first half. It's a tough day at the office for Neil Kelly and the Widnes boys. You know, there must be some people knocking around who might say, well, I'm quite happy at the moment not to be involved in all of this, because what would you say at half-time when your team is 30-0 down? Graham Steadman at the moment is able to watch quietly with not a smile, but at least a contented air about him. What do you say at 30-0 down, Graham, when you're in that Widnes dressing room?
I think what Neil will be touching on is the fact that he's got to tighten things up around the ruck area. They've caused a lot of problems around that area. The discipline, they've come up with 5 drop balls, 4 of which have been in their own half. I think it's a 7-1 penalty count against. They've not really had any field position in which to play good football.
And they've got nobody, it would appear, who can take them on out wide with the speed to get round the back of them.
Yeah, I think what Hull have actually done well is they've actually targeted Julian O'Neill deep in his own half defensively, so therefore he's going to burn down the energy levels. It then becomes less of a threat offensively because he's obviously feeling a little bit fatigued, the fact that he has been making tackles. And the likes of Vaughan, Swain and Cook, the 3 pivotal players in the triangle for Hull playing very well, and then King laying the platform with some excellent goal forward and also some, as Clark has already alluded to, the handling skills of King this season. He's added a new dimension to his game and he's playing very, very well.
We're only at round 12 of the Tetley Super League, but Steve-O, even at this relatively early stage of the season, I think if Widnes lose today, and the odds are now obviously that they might, it might be 8-6 for the top of the table, 4-1 at the bottom.
Yeah, I think everybody's bound to realise, and I'm sure that Neil Kelly in that dressing room at half-time realises that now he's in a battle for relegation. And not surprisingly they should be, because it was a woeful performance by them in the first half. This is the build-up to it. It was a beautiful pass by King, which put Chester through. Barnett Jr. on the first one. They did have one opportunity. Remember, there hasn't been one clean break from Widnes in the first half. Graham Steadman, the officials got it right. Hay took out Smith.
Yeah, Jules O'Neill's just held the ball up for that split second too long, and that's enabled A to step in, obviously tie up the 2 defenders, and it was an obstruction. I think it was the right call.
And as you can see here, we talk about the poor defence, 13 missed tackles, but they're not getting into their faces. They are allowing Hull to keep the ball alive. And then the tap on here, it went backwards, the official got it right. 11 pairs of hands. You can't stop anything like that, can you?
I think what Neil Kelly will be saying to his players, that first point of impact's got to be around the ball one-on-one at present. To have 5 offloads in one passage of football with 11 handling plays, and on the back of it score the 4 points, he's going to be very disappointed.
But that was superb, Lance, wasn't it? The experience of Jason Smith following on through. But yet again, just poor tackling there. It allowed McMenemy an easy run to the line. It has been a nightmare for Widnes. They're enjoying it, Hull, and in great conditions. And then, not surprisingly, I made the point, should they change to man-on-man marking? Well, there was no one marking Mr. Barnett Jr., not surprisingly, and I think, and we've had quite a lot of hat-tricks, haven't we, over the past couple of weeks. I think we might have another one on the on the horizon. Mr. Barnett Jr. will certainly be looking for that, unless Widnes can really pull it around, but I can't see it.
Well, we had 2 on Saturday night at St Helens. We had 1 on Friday with Nathan Wood for Warrington. It'll be short odds that Richie Barnett Jr. might come up with a hat-trick in the second half. Well, Phil Clark always tries to give a little bit of encouragement to the underdog if he can during his half-time talk. Nice to see you getting the suntan, Phil. What can you say in Widnes's corner here?
Well, I think they've got 2 chances and they're slim and none really, but they'll be clinging on to the first one of those 2. The month of May has been a very impressive one for Hull. They started, of course, the month with a record win here, scoring over 80 points against Salford, and you can see just why. One of the reasons is because of their efforts in defence. We've seen what they can do in attack, but they worked so hard defensively in the opening quarter of the game that it put Widnes under pressure and didn't allow them really any fun in attacking the Hull line. again, time and time again, they're controlling their opponents and just controlling that ruck area, as we've seen. In fact, they got to a point where they're putting pressure on the kicker, so they're doing all the little things really, really well, and that contributes to making life that much easier when you have the ball in your hands. Graham Steadman's touched on the point of how quickly Hull are attacking around that ruck area. There's one or two of Richard Horne's runs from that area, which all of a sudden he may only gain 10 metres. You might not think that's incredible, but the quick play of the ball then that he gives his teammates just sets them rolling forward and makes life very easy for them.
Okay, well, as Phil, I think, hinted there, the last time Hull were on this pitch, or recently on this pitch anyway, they beat Salford by 82 points to 6. It doesn't look good for Widnes, does it? But someone might be going home tonight with the watch. I don't think it will go to a Widnes player if they continue as they did in the first half, in the second 40. But remember what we saw on Saturday night from the Bradford Bulls. Okay, Widnes might not be the same calibre as the Bradford Bulls just yet, but there was a real determination when they came out at the start of the second half, and that really has got to be Widnes' aim here.
The more dust you remove from a car's body shell before painting, the better the finish will be. And because few things are as efficient at removing dust particles as female ostrich feathers, that's what BMW use. Intelligent thinking from BMW.
Now the best part of putting your makeup on is taking it all off with new Olay Daily Facials Express. Of course they deep cleanse, but what makes them special is that they provide skin-loving Olay moisture. Your skin feels not just clean, but soft and smooth. New Daily Facials Express from Olay. Love the skin you're in.
Hi-ho! Hi-ho! Hi-ho!
Don't suppose I'd be much good at that.
Use your head. Teach.
Get your beauty sleep in the biggest flatbed in business class.
Your #1 gel just got a restyle. Along with the whole Shockwaves range. New Shockwaves. Style made for connection. From Weller.
My dad loves to go fishing. All you need is the right gear. Well, there's the rod, obviously, reel and lines, nets, a chair, a big umbrella, sandwiches, a lucky hat. Oh, and an Environment Agency rod licence. Because without one of these, there's no point in having all the rest.
You can get an Environment Agency rod licence from post offices or on our website. Otherwise, you risk being fined up to £2,500. There's more to life. Go fishing.
Most calls you make as a business are within your local region. Choose the 2 area codes you use most, and O2 will give you 40% of all calls to them. See business differently. Call 0800 781 0202.
The things I do to hydrate my skin. At least keeping my hair and scalp hydrated to doddle.
Quench your thirsty hair with Head & Shoulders Hydrating Smooth and Silky. Has 3 types of hydrating ingredients, washes out 100% of flakes.
Soft, shiny, no dandruff hair.
Hydrating Smooth and Silky from Head & Shoulders.
Invent one for my skin, please.
I was
was wondering if you wouldn't mind transporting something for me. No questions asked.
Jason Statham delivers.
Rule 1. Never change the deal. Rule 2. What are you doing? No names.
Making up for the trouble.
Rule 3. Never open the package.
Rules are meant to be broken. The Transporter, tomorrow at 10 on Sky Movies 2.
Fantastic weekend coming up in the Tetley Super League. Wigan Saints, Friday at 7:30, Sky Sports 1. Saturday at 6, Sky Sports 2. Bradford against Leeds. 2 massive matches. Half-time here at the KC Stadium, and Hull firmly in control, 30 points to 0. Sean McRae will be delighted, I'm sure, with the first half that he's seen here. 220 weekly rounds now for Sean McRae, 267th game of his illustrious career. He is Super League great survivor, and he has built a team here that, if they stay injury-free, has got a great chance of getting all the way to Old Trafford in the grand final.
Well, they often say, don't they, especially Australian coaches, that if you're going to win anything, you've got to make sure your defence is spot on. Well, Sean McRae has certainly done that with the Hull side. Widnes failed to make a clean break in the first 40 minutes. Will they be going for a record and have no clean break in the full 80 minutes? I don't think that's ever been done.
Well, I'm sure that Neil Kelly will be looking for more enthusiasm from his players at the start of this second half. That's great defence, though. McMenemy and Liam Higgins.
I pointed out, Eddie, that rugby league is a game where you've got to be forceful. You cannot be weak. You've got to make sure that you give the opposition somebody to think about. Widnes didn't do that in the first half.
Dion Bird gets the ball away. This is David Mills. And they haven't got the ball to the halfway line yet in this opening set of 6. It will now, courtesy of the boot of O'Neill, but it's straight down the throat of Briscoe.
Poor kick yet again. I mentioned earlier in the first half that the quality of this fella, outstanding player.
Barnett Jr. after a hat-trick on a weekend of hat-tricks on Sky Sports. Jason Hooper and Carl Pratt on Saturday at St Helens against Bradford. Nat Wood, Warrington Wigan on Friday night. Or Price, Richard Barnett Jr. picking up a hat-trick here in the second half.
We'd have to feel pretty confident about it.
He'll be searching for it, there's no doubt about that. Swain, kick over the top into open space. Dion Bird's after it, leaves it in the end for winger Chris Giles. Great chase on his own kick by Richard Swain, playing everybody else onside.
There's a typical example of the difference between the two sides, is that Hull are making all sorts of problems when they get the kick. We saw on that occasion just a few moments ago, Jules O'Neill kicks straight down the throat of the fullback Briscoe.
Great defence, Andy Hobson. Well, Steve McCurry, all the experience in the world, but again, look at the way that Hull have restricted Widnes to their territory. And O'Neill, he shaped for the kick, got it away. Here is Adam Hughes. They're going to get turnover inside their own half of the field if they're not careful. That's better, though. That's good stuff. And it just went awry at the end. No, they're still going with O'Neill. That's a much better set of 6 in the end. It was desperation stuff, I suppose, on the last tackle, but credit them, they kept the ball alive.
Well, they're left with no option. There again, they've closed Jules O'Neill down so many times. He's the man with the responsibility of the kicking game, and because of that, no option but to offload and go for the power play.
Here goes Colin Best. Briscoe infield to Lupton and wide to Richie Barnett. Back to Lupton through the fingertips. Richard Horne losing ground hold, but another missed tackle and another missed tackle. Richard Horne and another missed tackle, and Briscoe with a procession to the line. Neil Kelly will be pulling his hair out. Sean Briscoe, though, adds to his growing reputation, gets into double figures for this Super League season. But what can Neil Kelly do about this? He sends his players out as well prepared as he can, and then they just fall dramatically off the tackle.
Well, it wasn't the best passing movement to start with. See how they had to turn around. Richie Barnett said, but where on earth is the defence? When they come up with an error like that, you should be all over them. You should be over them like a rash, and they just stood still. They are not at the races at all. This is embarrassing. Two bad passes. You should apply the pressure. And yet, they allow this man to pass no less than 4 would-be defenders. Good support from the full-back, as it always should be. But that was nothing short of pathetic, Eddie.
And the kick from Paul Cook means it's 36 points to 0 to the men from Hull.
Well, the crowd here, they're chanting Old Faithful. He's not all that old, Sean Briscoe. But the song is reverberating around this stadium, and rightly so. But I don't want to take anything away from this youngster's effort there, or the way that Richard Horne scampered through. But that was woeful defending.
Gareth Carvell is out of the Hull side at the moment, injured. He's alongside Bill downstairs.
Thanks, Eddie. Gareth, I suppose the biggest threat to Hull now is complacency, isn't it?
Oh, that's it. I mean, it just showed last time we played them. You know, they give us, the once over, and we've come back today and we're trying to make up for that. The other beginning of the season. Was that mentioned in the build-up? A bit of revenge. Oh yeah, I mean, it wasn't so much mentioned, but we all knew we had a job to do because of what happened, and it was just a lack of concentration, and we're going to make up for it today.
An injured player never likes watching his teammates in action. Are you enjoying this?
Not really. I mean, I'd love to be out there, but what can you do? These injuries come along, and that's it, innit?
Thanks, Gareth. Well, somebody else who's coming back is Craig Weston, who's out there now feeding the scrum for the Widnes Vikings, in fact, and he's just returned to the country on Saturday from Australia. Hasn't played a competitive game since the start of last season, when he played in a friendly for Widnes against Warrington. He's been training with the Burleigh Bears in Australia, and he's won his side a penalty there.
He has. It was a high challenge, Bill, by Richie Barnett. You're absolutely right. He's been over there with the Burleigh Bears, which is Steve-O's favourite team, I think, in Australia. And the reason that you like them so much?
It's a beautiful part of the world, yes.
This is a drive here.
And it's the Bears as well, isn't it? The Burleigh Bears.
Myler is the dummy half. Back it goes to McCurry. There's a good drive in towards the line by Andy Hobson. There's a chance here for Widnes to get something, maybe. Myler waits at dummy half. Spins it to Weston. Weston then on to Jules O'Neill. Showed it to one. Good short, flat ball.
Good tackle by Cook. Did everything right.
Finnegan couldn't go anywhere. O'Neill down the blind side. Great defence, though, from Hull. That's why they have the best in Super League. They're 36-0 up. Michael Egar leading the way. But they decide that they want to keep Widnes pointless in this second half.
Wonderful effort, sliding across, something that Widnes certainly don't have in this game. Leading the way, the centre. On his return, Michael Egar. Graham Stedman, of course, former Castleford coach, knows all about the big centre. Good on defence, as we've just seen there. But not only that, when you saw that when Hull got that defensive thing, when they'd done that, every single player came over and tapped each other on the shoulder.
Another penalty for not packing down properly at the scrum. This is Dion Bird for Widnes out the back door. Stephen Myler, a little signal there behind his back. Gives it to McCurry. And McCurry trying to scamper on all fours, and he's annoyed there that Horne had a couple of goes at him. Weston dropped the shoulder. And Nick Scruton out, unable to bring him down. Myler again. O'Neill. O'Neill to Bird. The other O'Neill on to Myler.
We can play the ball, that's what's needed, and they're not doing it.
Weston trying to stab it through, back off the feet. O'Neill, Weston again. Jules O'Neill. Good hunting down by Lupton. It's the last tackle here for Widnes. Weston wide, a stab through, and it's picked up easily by Eager. He feeds it inside, another missed tackle, and another missed tackle. And this is Colin Best and Barnett, and they're keeping the ball alive brilliantly, Hull. That's the first tackle, and they made 29 metres.
Wonderful to watch, isn't it?
Best again. Richard Swain up the middle. Tackled by Dion Bird.
It had to be as well, at least he went low.
Richard Horn. Cook just steps out of the challenge, or the would-be challenge.
They're timing their run well as well, Hull, when they're in attack. They're having that second phase. There's a half break, but there's always someone coming later.
Yeeman and there was Eager hunting the try on his left-hand side. Here's Richie Barnett. This is Paul Cook. And Cook kicks. It's a cracker. And it's another easy try for Lupton.
They'll go to the screen, see if he's onside.
Don't think there's any doubt at all.
It's a beautiful kick by the standoff Paul Cook. No problem. This is TRY time. More embarrassment, I'm afraid, for the Widnes Vikings. Well, many years ago, it's the Vikings that really ripped in and about the northern area on the shores of England. I'm afraid the Vikings who have arrived here on the east coast, I think they've been better served if their ship would have been sunk several miles out to sea.
No pillaging by these Vikings so far then. Try is given to Hull.
Well, I've yet to see any pillaging from Widnes.
Remarkably though, Steve, that try for Lupton came at the end of arguably Widnes' best period of the match.
Yeah, but even so, they were repelled yet again. Beautiful kick, bounced right, but you've got to put yourself into the position. It's really impressed me, you know, this year, Peter Lupton. Been around London and then to Leeds, and well, a lot of people, including myself, was wondering whether the talent was not going to come to the surface. Certainly has here at Hull.
Cook will add his 7th successful kick to the 7th try scored by Hull, and it's now 42 points to 0. Graham Stedman, there is no way back for Widnes. What on earth does Neil Kelly do?
As you've already just mentioned, it was their best spell of football on Hull's line, and they've actually come 90 metres and scored on the back of it. I don't want to be too critical because it is tough out there. I've been in a similar position down here at the KC Stadium with the Tigers early on in the season, and we came off the back of a 26-0 hiding. So they've just got to look to the experienced players to set the lead and make sure that they are setting the lead and they're leading from the front.
Well, I think the introduction of Steve McCurry, you know, is getting involved. He certainly had a couple of good runs and sort of the forwards just lifted, but as I say, all that good work just frittered away by the fact that they missed so many tackles and allowed Hull to go 75 metres.
Yeah, it was off the back of second phase football again, and what you've got in the Hull ranks is pace in which to finish off, and an excellent kick from Cook, putting the points on the board. It's not looking too good for Widnes, I'm afraid. It's going to be a long second half.
It's going to be a long season the way this is shaping up as well. Castleford, Salford, London and Widnes will form the bottom 4.
The amazing thing is, Eddie, is that I don't know why, but they seem to be camera shy. There's been some
Hull
really...
were once upon a time, you know.
Yeah, I know, but...
they've got over that. They've got over their nerves.
Widnes certainly have put in some bad performances in front of the Sky cameras over the past 2 or 3 seasons.
And O'Neill, and he looks both ways. There was no support. And he's asking for a penalty from Carl Kirkpatrick that is not forthcoming.
Well, he should have got a
Julian
penalty.
O'Neill just knocks the ball on.
Not the best pass either. Everything is just going from bad to worse. But this should have been a penalty. He wanted to get on with it, and he had a second snatch. The official said, no, you're trying to milk it. You can't expect a big lumbering forward like Julian O'Neill there to sort of bend down with a ball that's on its way to the ground.
Ball's out to the scrum from Jason Smith. And Eager plays the ball to that man, Jason Smith.
Look how much ease that it came. He just did a little dummy, trotted through. It didn't run through. First and second marker, sometimes from Widnes, is non-existent.
Smith to Horn, and he stepped out of the would-be challenge from Robert Relf. And Jason Smith took a late one, I think. And look at the metres gained by Hull in this match. 1,500 to 600. And they're going to make some more here. Well, it's pretty to watch, but it is awful if you're a Widnes fan. Swain. Horn. Cut out pass again. Lupton spins away from two. Gets the ball away. Went backwards. So this is play on. And Horn with a wonderful dummy.
Again, 2 missed tackles there. Richard Horn having the time of his life.
And so is Briscoe. Jason Smith's kick. Second try for Sean Briscoe. Well, Widnes, they want to pay the timekeeper to blow the siren, and their fans are taking an early bath. And I'm sure that the Widnes players would like to get off this field, back on the bus, go home and regroup.
Keeping it alive, missed tackles aplenty, okay. Went backward, said the official. But from this position, looked as though he was going to go on his own, pretty close to it. Now, watch to see if there was any pressure applied to Jason Smith. No, none whatsoever. He could have made a cup of tea, toasted some brown bread, and then put the kick through. There's no one at home. It's the invisible Vikings, I'm afraid.
Briscoe with the try. And Cook has added the extras. Too easy. 48 points to nil.
They're just not harassing the opposition. We saw a few moments before Jason Smith put in that little kick. He went into dummy half. He's not the fastest player in Super League, and yet he gained 10, 12 metres forward before anybody laid a finger on him.
Well, Widnes' last win in this part of the world was in April 1992, 36-20 at the old Boulevard ground. The Vikings have lost 8 consecutive league games in Hull since then. They've lost their last 3 in the Super League against Bradford, Wigan and Wakefield, so it's going to be 4 defeats in a row for Widnes Vikings here.
Well, at 48-0, I think that the winger Richie Barnett Jr. will be saying, hey fellas, don't forget me. I've already got 2 on the board. I want to be a hat-trick hero too.
Widnes' next assignment, by the way, is the local derby with Warrington. And there is never any love lost there. King. Missed tackles, 24 missed tackles by Widnes, just 1 by Hull. Straight down the throat there of Chris Giles, that kick. But there's no
urgency.
No urgency at all, no effervescence. It's flat for Widnes.
There's no talk out there. Andy Hay, he's supposed to be the captain. We've barely seen him. I can't see whether he's urging his players on or not.
Oh, he's just behind the ruck here now.
Someone has to lead by example.
Myler to Relf, on to Jules O'Neill. And the pass came wide, and O'Neill takes control again. And a couple of missed tackles there were by Hull.
The thing is, they're only making the initial breakthrough over the defence. They're not making that clean break. As far as I know, they haven't made one this second half. This could be one. No, they still get back to it and they pinch the ball.
Jason Smith took it. Was that a 2-on-1? Obviously not according to Carl Kirkpatrick. Phil, you were closer to it than us.
No, I didn't see it from this angle either. I know that the Widnes side stayed overnight in Hull to prepare for this early kick-off today. I'm not sure whether it's upset their body's biorhythms, but they certainly weren't ready for what Hull had to throw at them. And for the remainder of this game, well, I'm not. I know we've spoken about Widnes and what they can do. I'm just sitting back and enjoying what this Hull side have to offer, because every player's on top of his game at the moment. And they look
what a pass! You're absolutely right. What a pass from Lupton to Smith. This is Swain. Here is Horn. Wide to Cook. Again, he has the presence of mind to offload to Briscoe, who just says to Ewan Dowes, will you have a run? Oh, and Chester, another tackler, disappears. Second try for Chris Chester. And the crowd chant easy, and I'm sorry to say it really is. Chris Chester with the latest Hull try, and that is number 9. And some Widnes fans bravely sticking it out, others heading for, well, they've got all the coast to go at here in this glorious day down in East Yorkshire.
Look, standing back, only one man went through. You've got to give credit to Jules O'Neill, the standoff. He's tried hard, both in attack and defence. But when you just push away players, would-be defenders like that with so much ease. I mean, Nicky Royal, they got across to him, at least Dion Bird finished Jason Smith off. But the way they've kept it alive, it is pretty to watch, but it's painful to watch too, because we pride ourselves on the competitiveness that we have in Super League, and this is not on show. I'm embarrassed. Imagine what the Widnes fans and the Widnes players must be feeling, and how would the coach be feeling? There's nowhere to hide. He's stood there on the touchline, arms folded, bewildered.
Paul Cook then with another conversion attempt. He hasn't missed a game, this fellow, since the first round at Salford in 2002. And he's just come up with another kick. I think that's successful kick number 9. Poor old Widnes fans are not enjoying this, but Paul Cook, he scored 11 goals. It's a Super League record for Hull in the annihilation of Salford recently, 82-6. He's already got 9 today. It could be making a new mark for himself and this club. And well, the Pigeons having a bit of lunch anyway.
It's rich pickings all over the place, isn't it?
Oh, well, someone had to say it.
And I did. And with a bit of luck, we might get some more tries, that is.
I don't think that is a question that needs answering. There's 20 minutes of the match remaining. Still no breaks for Widnes in this match. Graham Steadman, I think it's not going to get any easier for them, is it, the Vikings?
No, you've got a team here in Hull FC playing on top of the game from under 13. Now they're all queuing up to get the names on the scoreboard. For Widnes, it's just a case of making the defence, and at the moment it's just not happening. We've got another midfield break.
Oh, well, he's given a forward pass there, and I think Carl Kirkpatrick has been very, very kind to Widnes.
I think you're right. Nothing wrong with that at all. And even without bringing in that awful word, momentum.
Well, he just had a little smile then.
And so did Paul Cook, and said,
Carl Kirkpatrick,
you didn't square it.
Heads in.
Look at that.
Heads
backwards
in.
There. He's still going forward. He was in front of the whitewash. And the man receiving the football was spot on the whitewash.
Well, that pass and little passage of play interrupted Graham Steadman. But Neil Kelly will be going through the horrors, Graham, won't he? He will, there's no question of that.
Yeah, obviously, once the game's its completion, I think the least said about today's performance, from a Widnes point of view, the better. They'll regroup, and they'll obviously set their preparation in place for Warrington next week. But on today's evidence, it's going to be a bit of soul searching within the next 5 days leading to their next game.
Stuart Spruce is in the Widnes camp now as the assistant to Neil Kelly. This is his first match, I think, in his new role, and it's Must really be a horror start for him. Things can only get better for Stuart Spruce.
Get out, Colin! Well, I'm sure he's hoping it won't get worse, Eddie, because this is nothing short of woeful, pathetic, irrespective of what you do. I mean, they are trying, but they've lost all their shape. They lost their shape very, very early in the piece. They didn't get any field position. They didn't allow anything.
They conceded a try in the 4th minute, and it was a little bit of a battle for 20 minutes or so. But since, I think it was about the 24th minute or thereabouts, 24, 25 minutes, it's just been a procession.
Well, it has, and lack of discipline. The penalty count was going against them. But the most problem that they've had is the fact they've just missed tackles. The man with the football in the white and black shirt has just gone, well, they've gone haywire. They've had so much room to move around. Jason Smith, back after such a lengthy injury, he gets himself out there and he's enjoying it immensely. He should have been the first player that Widnes should have picked out, given him a real good hiding.
Legally, of course.
Of course.
O'Neill goes wide again, but sheer weight of numbers, and it's quite remarkable, this whole defensive pattern. 54-0. I think that's the aim. I think Sean McRae said to them, look, we had 82-6 against Salford. See if you can keep Widnes down to 0. That's your next little challenge that I'm going to set you.
Of course, he was disappointed that they conceded those 6 points.
He was also, actually, in the context of the game, he wasn't gloating at all when Salford were here under Carl Harrison and went home with that 82-6. He knows that this isn't brilliant for the concept of Super League, because here's another try. Richard Horn. Oh, and the Widnes man tackled the post as well. Richard Horn's try for Hull. They will have few easier afternoons than this. The 10th try for Hull.
Well, as soon as Briscoe scored very early in the second half, it was always going to be a procession. The crowd like it. And Sean McRae would have sent the message out, say, let's do all our set pieces. But the biggest problem they've had is that they didn't need it. When they allow a man to get through the first line of defence and then offload, with the speed of this fella, Richard Horn, he had a grin all over his face as soon as he got that ball. It's a procession. And to make matters worse, the Widnes players actually tackled the post.
Cook gets his 10th. Hull hit 60, and I'm afraid we're now watching Widnes's biggest ever Super League defeat. 56-6 was the previous poor mark against Saints. 60-0, courtesy of that try from Richard Horn and the 10th goal from Paul Cook. Phil Clark, I don't think you've ever been on the end of a 60-0 hiding, have you?
No, I was just thinking, I don't think we're giving Hull just quite enough credit here. Even when Wigan were the most dominant side in this country in the early parts of the 90s, they didn't demolish their opponents as often as they've done here. Twice within a month here now to see off Salford and Widnes by such a convincing effort, really. I think they're showing a clinical element too to their attack. We've seen some outstanding defence, and when they make a break, they're able to turn it into 6 points. They're taking all of the chances on offer, and that's the sign of a champion side.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Here they come again. Briscoe with the chip and chase. Finnegan is the man, though, who this time gets to it first, under pressure from Peter Lupton.
Then again,
I think we are giving Hull praise, Steve-O. It's just sad that the opposition isn't up to it.
Look, they're all queuing up. They want to show their individual skills, and when you get to that point, that means your opposition is woeful. If you allow people time and the room to move, they'll cut you apart. But the missed tackle count for Widnes, it must be horrific at the moment.
Here's Andy Hay, but a great tackle again.
31. 31 missed tackles.
High kick from Jules O'Neill. Briscoe. Enthusiastic chase at last from Finnegan.
I mean, that works out at one missed tackle every 2 minutes, Eddie.
Best. Tried to get the ball away. That's a knock-on.
Well, the sun is shining.
It's shining on Hull.
On the east coast. Basking in sunshine, a lot of the fans at this wonderful stadium, and they are enjoying it. They want, irrespective, the Hull fans won't be feeling sorry for Widnes, that's for sure.
Well, they were beaten, and comprehensively so, over Easter by Widnes at the Halton Stadium, and they came out here on a mission.
Now, can Widnes make their very first clean break in this game?
This is Julian O'Neill.
L3 on the line, on the line.
And Myler and Dion Bird, a try for Widnes, and it's Finnegan, or was it? He's given it. Finnegan went very close to the whitewash, but at 60 points to nil, no need to hand this on to the video ref.
Well, they've made the first clean break, and not only that, they have got the try.
No problem.
No problem. It was a good position, Carl Kirkpatrick. It's been an easy game for Kirkpatrick to officiate upon. Well, Sean McRae will not be pleased about that, but take nothing away the ability to run onto the football. Dion Bird had linked into the three-quarter line from full-back position, sent in the hooker Simon Finnegan, and an ironic cheer from all the Hull fans.
Well, maybe they're applauding them for just keeping going. They can be generous at 60 points to 4.
I have been coming to Hull for many, many years, Eddie. Generous? No way. Ironic? Yes.
O'Neill has missed it, and he gets an ironic cheer as well.
Quite sad, really, because he's been one of the few players on the Widnes outfit that has kept going for the full length of this game.
Well, Simon Finnegan, standoff last weekend, the fractured elbow at Wakefield over Easter for Finnegan. Well, it's a jaunt in the sun for Hull, but just a temporary little punctuation mark. And having applauded the Widnes players, the Hull fans now are after them to make the error. McCurry, Dion Bird. It's solid,
it certainly
defense.
is, and the difference is the fact that you can see that they're moving up quickly, not the first and second markers alone. They're coming out of the blocks quickly. Boom. They've got 60 points on the board and locked it into it, and now they've coughed up with a loss of possession.
McMenemy is again able to get away from the defence twice. And King goes down the short side. They'd love him to get on the scoreboard as well, Paul King. Offside.
They came out very, very quickly, didn't they?
I wonder what Steve McCurry was applauding then, because of the whistle went, he looked over his shoulder and clapped. There is a ton of space here for Colin Best. Best with the try.
It's a mere training run at the moment for the Hull Football Club. Just keeping the ball alive and turning and spinning. Something that Hull have brought into their attacking play for the last 4 or 5 weeks. That's a good finish. Just basic link with the three quarters. Lupton and Smith as ever. Great kicker, great passer. Got good vision. Jason Smith, and when you got a winger like Colin Best, you know he's always going to finish it off against a very, very downhearted Widnes outfit.
Great record of try-scoring Colin Best, but would you believe that ends a run of 5 that he hasn't scored? Well, they're only 4 points ahead of Castleford at the foot of the table now, Widnes. And this to equal the Super League record for Hull, set by himself against Salford a couple of weeks ago. Missed it.
Well, even the send-off, Paul Cook realises that perhaps there's still time for him to at least have another attempt. There's the try scorer, Colin Best. Amazing ability, this fella, to run with the football. He just holds it out, doesn't he? Holds the ball with one hand. It's amazing.
Eddie, it might be a little bit early in the season to start worrying about points difference, but Hull certainly have improved the health of theirs here today, and if it comes down to that, it'll certainly push them higher up, although I suppose the way they've played this month, they won't be too worried about that. They'll be thinking more about finishing in the top couple of spots in the playoff places.
Absolutely, and 82 points against Salford, 64 here. Doesn't do them any harm, does it?
Well, it is important as well. Let's remember Ian Millwood making the point that you know, some of the decisions that the video referee, they say, oh well, it doesn't really affect the game, but you know, it does. In fact, if my memory serves me correctly, I think St Helens actually won the championship on points difference one year.
Little lack of concentration by Chris Chester.
Well, the 64-4, you can allow yourself to have a bit of a smile.
Come on, fellas.
An unforced error.
It's
Chester.
It's difficult though, Eddie. You know, I mean, we're saying that it has been a very poor performance by Widnes, but when you get the game well and truly wrapped up in the first half, you have a tendency to the side that's attacking, full of control. It becomes more individual skill. They all want to try to score. They all want to make a star name for themselves, and the teamwork sometimes goes out the window. Though I must say, the support play by Hull throughout this game has been excellent.
3 tackles gone here for Widnes. They're looking for something else because, as you rightly say, or as Clarkey rightly says, points difference might be tough at the top. It'll certainly come into play at the bottom. Aaron Moole.
Great tackle there from Kirk Yuma.
Daniel Frame. And a smile from him. He knows it's just not been Widnes' day. They're still on the bus. Now, Neil Kelly was planning a little celebration, would be the wrong word, but a little treat for his players on the way home, because it's the bank holiday. They were going to stop off and maybe have a drink together, but he said if the result goes against us, we'll be straight home. I think you can expect them in Widnes about 3:30.
Yeah, I think they'll be hoping that it's green lights all the way, isn't it, before they get to the motorway.
Richie Barnett Jr. Lupton. Oof. Bit high from Andy Hay. Well, I think about time we found out who was the man of the match today. I think you might be going home with a watch on the end of a wrist with a white jersey on. Dave Hadfield.
So many candidates in this whole team today, Eddie. Sean Briscoe, excellent at full-back. Paul Cook, very, very good at standoff. Great work in the pack from Swain, King, McMenemy and Chester. But the man for me who's been at the heart of it all has been Richard Horne. He's been absolutely magnificent in all aspects of play. And the way he set up Briscoe's first try might be the best bit of play I've seen all season. So Richard Horne is a winner today.
And as the name went up on the big screen, the crowd were chanting his name. And I think, Dave Hadfield, you've all got that one right. Well done.
Is that a smile on your face then, Edward?
Not at all.
I got the impression that you're trying to impress that the media sometimes get it wrong.
Well, Mr. Briscoe scored 4 tries once and didn't get it. This is Jason Smith looking to finish with a flourish. Jason Smith again. Oh, little dummy again. What a pass to Higgins. That came back and it's play on, and it's another try for Kirk Yeaman.
Well, they want to see what happened there, but
it was ricocheting all over the joint. But
yeah, I think it did go back. Well, maybe just a touch forward. Here's a kick, and then Yeaman went through. Here's a pass from Jason Smith. He's enjoyed himself. That's okay. That is okay.
Nothing wrong with that. This is going to be another try. They're going to hit 70.
Yep. Got to be a try there, I'm sure. Just want to see whether the ball initially went forward, but you can see on that angle it didn't. Went back. And Yeaman dumb it, make it look as though it just wants to make certain. That's okay. He scooped it back. He had the opportunity to get it. They failed to do that. Yeaman says thank you.
Yes, I think he's got his name on the score sheet, Kirk Yeaman.
TRY time.
It is a try. And Paul Cook does now have the opportunity of equalling his own Super League goal-scoring record for this club. Well, it's been a bank holiday to remember for Hull. It's been a bank holiday to forget for Widnes.
Solid performance, especially in the opening 20 minutes. Made sure that Hull would get the valuable 2 points. Their shape in defence has been outstanding, and everything that Widnes threw at them, especially in that opening 20, was repelled.
That equals the Super League goal-kicking record for Hull by Paul Cook. 11 for him, 12 tries in all, and the impressive statistic for Hull, 9 different try scorers. Kirk Yeaman, the latest, 40th consecutive appearance for him. A little unlucky really to come out of the side when Michael Eager immediately is reinstalled on fitness, because he's played really well for Hull over the past couple of seasons, young Kirk Yeaman. But you can't keep a man like Eager on the side.
No, you're right there.
And the difference, Steve-O, this year between Hull and previous years,
they've got depth.
They've got depth, and their players are coming back from injury rather than just disappearing for the rest of the season. That caught up with them last year.
Well, I think they had 4 or 5 players last year which either with a broken arm or a broken leg.
They were certainly out for the season, there was no doubt of that. Not so this year. They brought 2 back today, and by the looks of things, they haven't lost anybody. Still in play here for Colin Best and Dion Bird.
Always winded.
70 points to 4. Such enthusiasm from Best.
Well,
Dion Bird, he just picked up and dropped like a rag doll.
Down straight through him, and the ball right into the breadbasket. Took away the wind there.
Referee anxious to get to the seaside as well this afternoon, maybe. Just said pick the ball up and play it.
Yeah,
doesn't have to wait for an injured player, providing it's not a serious injury.
No penalties, come on!
Well, last few seconds of this match, 70 points to 4. Comprehensive is a word that comes to mind.
Come on!
And an easy victory for Hull at the end. Here's Giles, counting down to 2 vital points, which really puts Hull in the mix in terms of the playoffs. And Lupton just runs the ball over. He said, I've had enough as well. Widnes' agony is over. But Hull, 70 points to 4. Another great win for them here at their stadium. The supporters have been richly entertained by their side, who ran in 12 tries in all. A very good day at the office for Hull. I think it might be a case of least said, soonest mended for poor old Widnes. They go home with a hiding to their name. Eager returned, Jason Smith returned, young Richie Barnett replaced Gareth Rayner, and well, Sean McRae knows it's a job very well done, and even has the time to sign a few autographs, and on a day like this, why would he want to leave the stage? Well, Richard Horne goes home with the Tissot watch. He's the man of the match, and he's with Bill.
Richard, the press boys who chose this said it was hard to pick out a man of the match. Congratulations, you got it. But it was right across the board. Everybody was right on song today, weren't they?
It was, especially after a performance last week against Leeds. We thought if we'd come out here, not done ourselves justice, and it wouldn't have been worthwhile. But everyone came out today, played absolutely tremendous. Everyone looked strong. Defence went well. Shame that we let one of the tries in. We was hoping for a nil score, but they did well to come back and get that one. So
I think that says something. You could see when Widnes went over the disappointment among you and the other Hull players.
Well, it was, yeah. Our goal in the second half was to nil them. To carry on putting the pedal down on them and getting a result like we've got.
Congratulations on a man of the match performance. Well done.
Just like to thank you. So I'd just like to say hi to my mates in Malia as well. I hope they're having a good time.
I bet they are if they were watching that. And I think the coach Sean McRae had a pretty good time watching that, didn't you?
Yeah, you always have a great time when the guys are scoring points the way they were. It's very entertaining. You get excited about things, I suppose. But you know, a lot of hard work done the first half, Bill, and to be able to convert that 30-0, into a 74 victory meant that we went on with the job, and I'm real pleased with that. You don't expect to win ball games by that score. You know, Widnes clearly have been playing well and been a little unfortunate in the last couple of games, and it was important for us to bounce back after playing well against Leeds last week but not quite getting the result.
It's amazing what confidence does for a team, isn't it?
Well, I guess
there was just so much confidence exuding from the side, the way the ball was being passed around.
Well, it's a great day to play. Clear skies, you know, and nice firm ground, and the weather suited, I think, expansive rugby league, and we played well. And I just say a quick hello to Mike Gregory at home, by the way. I spoke to him this morning. I think everyone in rugby league's wished him all the best. I know he was going to watch this game.
Yeah, thanks, Sean.
Cheers.
So this, the last match of round 12, even though there are 4 clubs there, Wigan, Huddersfield, Hull and Saints, who have yet to play 12, and 2 down below, London and Salford, who played 13. This is round 12, and that's the way the table looks. 3 points the gap, but Hull very much in the mix now, and down at the bottom it's going to be a long road for Widnes, because Castleford, with that win to their name over the weekend, they will get a little bit of confidence from that, and it will be very interesting to see how the relegation issue pans out. But Phil Clark, Hull, I think they're destined to take part in the playoffs this year.
Well, it's early to say that. Some people get the day off on a bank holiday and some are forced to work. I think the scoreboard tells you which side turned up here prepared to roll the sleeves up and really get stuck into their performance. I thought it was an outstanding effort, and I suppose the challenge now for the Hull coaching staff is to keep that momentum flowing. We've seen some spectacular tries, but I think that one of the things that helped that was their effort in defence. Time and time again, they worked so hard when they didn't have the ball in their hands, and really it was that effort defensively that made them dominate, really, but go on. Tremendous support play, and I suppose for Widnes, they just want to forget about it, but they've got a lot of hard work to do.
Well, Phil Clark said that Hull just have to maintain the momentum now, but I can tell you that we have watched here this lunchtime, and if you're a Widnes fan, just look away for a moment and turn the sound down. It's the all-time record defeat for Widnes in league football. Not a good day for Widnes. Graham, you're out of the cauldron at the foot of the table, but it's going to be a real scrap for Widnes now.
Yeah, they're down there with the likes of Salford, Castleford, and it's going to be a difficult period for them. They've got a local derby against Warrington next week, and all on that showing, Ali Ranley and Gary Mercer are going to have their work cut out next week, doing some edit tape on footage for their defensive work, because they play at the Jungle next week, and that's going to be interesting 80 minutes of football.
Isn't it just? We've mentioned Neil Kelly much of the afternoon. Is it a question like when Tony Smith went to St Helens and Leeds were hammered 56-16 or whatever it was, you just say, right, line under it, move on?
Yeah, without question. I've been in a similar position both as player and coach, unfortunately, and I think, as you mentioned in shot earlier on in the programme, the drink that they'd made plans earlier on in the week on the back of a good victory, which obviously after 20 minutes of football never looked like being possible. I think they should go ahead with it. It's important in times like these that they stick together, have a quiet drink together, regroup tomorrow morning, then prepare for the game next week against Warrington.
Well, I hinted in the commentary, Steve, that maybe the Widnes bus would be pulling into the Halton Stadium at 3:30. Maybe Graham's right. Maybe the way to get over this is to stick together and have a beer or two.
Yeah, but the biggest problem, and Neil Kelly realises it, and a lot of the players realise it, that they just are doing this too many times. They did it a lot last season. They've started to do it early in the season. It wasn't the best performance by Widnes, but as far as Hull's concerned, you know, Sean McRae will look at that first 20 minutes. We saw St Helens against Bradford, you know, they won that game in the first 20 minutes, and there was never any doubt when they took control, Hull, in those first 20 minutes, they were going to get it and win.
And win they did. A massive victory here for Hull. Now then, two great games coming up this weekend. Wigan against Saints Friday, Sky Sports 1, 7:30. Saturday 6, Sky Sports 2 for Bradford and Leeds. Chris Casely at Bradford says, be there. Well, be there or be with us. I tell you what, it's going to be a fantastic weekend. Well done to Hull. Commiserations, Widnes. The tackles dramatically, and McMenemy will skate in for another. This is not good from Widnes.